2025 was an absolutely insane year. From wild California fires to AI making massive leaps, and even the Epstein files getting released. Well, kind of. A lot of people would say 2025 was a bad year, but I don't think they'll say the same about 2026. So today I'm making bold predictions for 2026, split into 4 categories you can skip through with timestamps. Those categories are gaming, sports, entertainment, and just general world news. I'm speedrunning these, so stick with me, but let's make a deal. If I get less than 50% of these predictions right, then I'll do whatever the top comment says on this video. But if I get 50% or more correct, you have to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let's get into it. My first overall prediction for the year is that GTA 6 will indeed come out in 2026. Although Rockstar Games has already delayed the game about 2 to 3 times on big, long delays, I think it's inevitable that the game eventually has to come out. I think if you think about it, November is the perfect time to drop a game for the sake of holiday sales, and Rockstar wants all of that Christmas money. They've already gone on record to say that this game has cost about $2 billion to make, so I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to want to put this game live at the perfect time to increase the profits. Prediction number 2 is that Fortnite adds Pokemon as pets. Now, Fortnite has been really working very hard at adding pets to the game. SpongeBob was an incredibly popular launch as a pet about a week ago. Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like Fortnite hasn't done this collaboration yet because Ash alone and some of the other characters are not quite worth only buying them as a skin unless you get like a Pikachu backpack or other add-ons. Personally, I think it is perfect to add the starter Pokemon at minimum as pets in Fortnite. My third prediction for the year is that Fortnite will add a Tarkov-style extraction mode to their game. Fortnite always experiments fast with new game modes, and I think it's very apparent that these extraction-style games are becoming extremely popular. Tarkov being one of the biggest games in the series, but Arc Raiders also making huge leaps in becoming popular amongst players. Now, the only reason I even make this assumption for this game mode is because of the Delulu mode that Fortnite has been using to test out voice chat in Fortnite games. But I also think it would be super easy for players to understand how to play this extraction mode shooter. For me personally in Arc Raiders, it was a huge learning curve to learn what parts go to what and how you go about upgrading your guns, materials, etc. With Fortnite, everybody knows what a SCAR is. Everybody knows all the shotgun lists. Everybody knows exactly what it is that goes into Fortnite. I think that this would be the easiest game mode to jump into this year, and it is, of course, a free game that anyone can try. My fourth prediction is very short and sweet. I think Mario Super Sluggers will have a remake on the Switch 2 this year. I think that this game specifically was one of the best games that we launched, and I am beyond shocked that we did not get a remastered version on the Switch 1. I think it is now time to add that to the Switch 2 with a very new console that can handle these kinds of games. Now, my last prediction in the gaming realm is I think that Kick streaming as a service as a whole will either die or heavily fall off. I think that there has been a lot of controversy with all the streamers on the platform thus far, and Kick is also still paying Twitch, their competitor, for the interface of their own entire website. This almost feels like Burger King just shoveling money to McDonald's, their literal #1 competitor. To me, it just doesn't seem like Kick is sustainable, and they're having a lot of problems right now. Moving into the sports predictions, my first one is a very, very delusional one, and I think that Arsenal is going to win the Premier League. Now, this one's probably one of the most outlandish predictions I'm going to make for the year, but honestly, come on. The Arsenal can't possibly choke the Premier League for like an 8th time in a row, right? Yeah, I'm probably wrong about that one, but I can still be hopeful as an Arsenal fan. My next sports prediction is that Los Angeles will at least bring home one big sports championship. Now, I'm really only going to consider this a win if the Dodgers can go back-to-back in the World Series or if the Rams can sneak a Super Bowl run. But LA as a whole has super talented teams, and I'm really thinking that at least somewhere they'll pull off a win. They're also probably one of the biggest sports cities in the world, so I think it's just inevitable that they'll win something, even though these two teams are the highest possibilities. Now, my third and final prediction in the sports realm is that Aaron Rodgers will play one more year with the Steelers. At the beginning of the season, it sounded like Aaron Rodgers was going to make one more Super Bowl run here in Pittsburgh, but I think that he's actually enjoyed his time a lot more than he thought. Now, I think the only stipulation is that Mike Tomlin has to stay in Pittsburgh, and I think Rodgers will choose to stay as well. This whole entire conversation really only matters how the Steelers play against the Ravens for the AFC North title. Now, obviously, whoever wins this game will move on to the playoffs, and I think that the Steelers will inevitably win against the Ravens, lose in the playoffs, but that most likely secures Mike Tomlin's job, which will then keep Aaron Rodgers just for one more season. Moving on to the entertainment and tech portion of this video, my first prediction is that Snapchat will die or lose the majority of its user base. In 2025, they really introduced so many paywalls and changes, and a lot of these people don't feel like paying for subscriptions. Now, I think these changes and services have really worked well on Twitter, but I think you're looking at a semi-older demographic and a very widely different use for their social media platform. Now, to me, Snapchat has always been used to send quick pictures that delete immediately, and also just to save memories that you've had over the years. It's basically been a free storage or free Google Drive service. Now, I understand that this is probably taxing for Snapchat, but I think because of this, a lot of people are just going to jump ship, or there'll just be a new app that introduces itself this year, and Snapchat will just become irrelevant. Now, my second prediction in the entertainment industry is that Marvel will not even touch the numbers that they had around Endgame. Now, obviously, Marvel has a huge agenda for this year, but I think their two biggest movies will end up being Spider-Man Brand New Day and their highly anticipated Avengers Doomsday, which will be big hits, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that these movies will even get remotely close to Endgame numbers, nor do I think they're even getting their fan base back to what it was. And I think that they're still going to have to work really hard to recover from this. I personally think that Marvel really needs to lock in on this Spider-Man movie, as it is the only saving grace that the company has. Now, my third prediction for this section is that Luffy is going to find the One Piece this year. I know absolutely nothing about One Piece, but the show is at a criminal 1,000 episodes. The story has to end eventually. And I also think that the original author of the manga isn't doing so well. In recent years, I think he's had a little bit of health issues that is going to cause him to take more hiatuses. So I think we're going to see a wrap up here soon, at least in the manga. Next up, we have AI generation is going to get heavily restricted. Tools like Grok on Twitter are absolutely pushing crazy boundaries the worst imaginable ways possible. I think a lot of people's privacy is in jeopardy, and I think that people also worry a lot about the pollution that AI is pushing forward. Now, I'm not going to necessarily say that AI as a whole is bad and that all of it needs to be banned, but I do think that there needs to be a lot of regulation moving forward in terms of AI image generation, and I think a lot of people are also concerned. Lastly, for our entertainment section, I think a new song is going to break Spotify's top 10 played songs of all time. Recently, in my opinion, music's been kind of dry. I think the last time that we actually saw a big boom in music was probably around COVID. I think there are some currently TikTok audios that have gone viral that everyone has heard, but they're not really songs that actually resonate with people and that people listen to off the TikTok app. Now, in order for that to be true, there's going to have to be one song that drops at the beginning of the year that goes absolutely viral. There is going to have to be one song that explodes toward the end of the year, but this is the current top 10 list of songs, and as they all get older, I think eventually one has to slip. Now, moving into the last category of predictions for this video, I'm going to jump into the world news by saying Trump is going to have some FIFA controversy. Now, I think there's a lot of political tension in the world right now, and global sports are having a lot of drama, so I think that it is inevitable that because the World Cup is in the United States, there has to be some kind of problem. Now, there are some countries that already are not able to travel to the United States for the World Cup, and these travel bans can only get larger. But with the way in which America has cultural differences right now, I just cannot foresee there not being some kind of issue, and I cannot see Trump not being a part of it. My second prediction in the world news is that Elon Musk is going to be the first trillionaire. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I don't want this to happen, as there should not be a single person on planet Earth that has accumulated this much money, but I do think that he's getting uncomfortably close to reaching these goals. Now, we're moving into our second to last prediction of the year, and I think that there will be our very first AI political figure that appears this year. Now, this may not happen in the United States, and it may not be an actual leader, but AI is becoming more of a spokesperson and an advisor as they give a non-biased opinion. Now, I cannot tell you how little I agree with this, but I do indeed think that because AI is becoming so powerful that we could see this integrated into our actual everyday lives. Now, I will say that there have been plenty of movies talking about computers taking over the world, and obviously I think we're heading toward that, but you know, history repeats itself. And now to our last prediction of the year, I think that there is going to be a massive discovery on Mars, and we have been watching this planet forever. It feels like we are absolutely overdue for some kind of breakthrough. Now, it may not be that big, it may not be that aliens are walking on Earth amongst us, or on Mars for that sake, but I do think that with the great complete leaps we've been taking so far in space discovery, that we will be finding something out that's crazy about Mars this year. Now, those have been my 2026 predictions. What do you think? I would love to hear down in the comments what you think is going to happen here in 2026. But also remember, if I only get 50% of these right, also comment on what I should do as a punishment for getting the majority of them wrong. So go ahead and drop your punishments, go ahead, drop your predictions, and check back in a year when I probably got the majority of these wrong. Thank you guys for watching. I'll say peace for now, and I'll see you guys on the next one.